Namaste, Jai Shiva. Let's talk about the characteristic of divine. One of the most important characteristics of God is eternity, that He is eternal. He, she, it is eternal actually. But we often don't pay much attention to what is exactly meant by eternity and how it is connected to us. See, we understand God is love, we understand God is bliss, and those are the type of qualities that we want to acquire from God, right? We when we say we are moving from humanity to divinity, so in our efforts towards moving towards divinity, we are easily able to understand that God is love, supreme love. God is bliss, supreme bliss, Ananda, right? So we are able to understand them, those two qualities, Ananda or bliss or love. We are able to understand these two qualities very easily, and we try to get those qualities into us. But when it comes to eternity, it's something that it's hard to understand and hard to connect with divine, and that is where we feel that divine is way far away, way high up, and divinity in terms of eternity is way high up in the sky, and something that is unapproachable or unreachable to us, right? This one feature makes us think like that. But let's understand eternity, that, and at times we think we have got this mortal body, so no matter what we do, this body is going to die. But the being that you are also is eternal, is also immortal. The being that you are never dies. You may leave this body, you may discard this body, but the being that you are, it never dies. So in other words, that quality of being eternal, that characteristic of being eternal is already there with us, right? But still we do not understand that what exactly is the meaning of that quality, how we should approach it, how we should try to understand it in detail, in depth, so that we can connect to it. Even with the eternity within us, how can we connect to it, right? And it makes a huge difference in understanding this one characteristic. And in order to understand that, think of it as, suppose you are getting a job, okay, and now somebody tells you that you have a daily wages job. So every morning, that someday your employer can say that don't come from today evening, right? He can say that because you are on daily wages. If suppose you know that you are getting a job which is going to be for a month, now your approach changes, right? The way, the relief that this certainty gives you, that okay, I have the job for at least 1 month, then your approach towards life, approach towards things changes. And maybe for a month, that for a month I am not going to worry about, for 30 days I'll have a steady income, and I do not have to worry about job. Yeah, after 20 days, 25 days, again search for a new one. So now see how it increases. That now if somebody says, okay, you have a 10-year job, 10 years guaranteed job. Now your approach towards life, because of this certainty, is completely different. A lot of people go for government jobs, right? Because there is so much certainty that that if you keep on working honestly, nicely, and do not mess it up, don't do something crazy, then easily till the age of 68 or 65, you will be able to serve nicely. You will have steady income. And even when you retire at the age of 65 or 68, when you retire, you are going to have pension and so many other benefits and stuff, right? So in a way, your entire life has been taken care of. How much difference does it make in your approach to live life? how much relief this certainty is, right? Now suppose you are putting a water pump somewhere, a water well somewhere, and you know that this is going to give water only for one day. Now what is your approach going to be? You will spend least amount of money in such a water well which is going to function only for a day. Imagine if that water pump or water well is going to say, somebody says that this is going to give you water for 1 month, then your approach will be different. And likewise, you can go on increasing if you know that this water pump, water well is good for next 10 years. And you won't be paying the water charges to the council, or you won't be paying the water bill. And you will have your own water. It will be good enough, sufficient enough for 10 years or 25 years. You will definitely look for best material. You will get everything done in such a permanent way. Instead of using some cheap things, cheap pump, you will look for a really nice pump that would last for 10 years or 25 years or something like that, right? Or if somebody says this water well is going to give your generations will drink the water from the same well. Now see how much different kind of relief it is, that this is one thing that you do not have to worry about, right? So there is a relief, there is a change of approach when it comes to certainty in life. So when certainty is certain for forever or a very big amount of time, we call it eternity. So certainty for infinity is eternity, in other words, right? You can say that. So likewise, because all this is eternal, that means when we are saying that God is eternal, then in other words, we are saying that no matter whichever lifetime we look for Him, we'll always find Him in the same way. He will always be there the same. We will go on changing ourselves, we'll go on transforming ourselves, but we are all walking towards the same God. He is same since eternity. So no matter in which lifetime, in whichever body we seek Him, we'll find Him and He's going to be the same. Exactly. Another thing that you can understand from this point of view also, see, even in the scientific world, you see how a lot of scientific rules or scientific principles are created. Scientists come up with a lot of principles, right? That water is frozen at 0 degrees centigrade. Now imagine that water freezes one day on 0, another day on -5, another day on -10, another day on 95. Then it's not a principle. No appliances can be created. Even thermometer cannot be created which will give you the correct temperature of the water, because there is no use of it. So there's no practical application unless a rule or a law has some sort of certainty in it. We know gravity is for forever, right? Law of gravity is for forever. So thousands and thousands of applications are there for law of gravity because of law of gravity, correct? We know that water freezes at 0 degrees centigrade, means frozen water. Now a lot of thermometer is there, so many other different things are there, so many other applications are there in our practical life, and we are able to connect it into our daily life. So in other words, what I'm trying to say here is that you are able to bring something down to your daily practice, bring something, connect itself something to your daily practices and to your daily life. You are able to do that only when something has a certainty in it. However long it is, but something has to be certain. There should be a certainty in it. Anything that is uncertain, it's very hard to implement it in life. Think of it, think even of the people around you. If one day they can digest something and you cook that, another day they are not able to digest that very same thing. Some other time you cook it, again they are able to digest and they are able to not digest. Then you cook this and then you cook that, you'll go mad. Same thing is with the behavior of people. At least there is some certainty that your parents love you, that your spouse has some genuine concern for you, if not the love. some genuine concern for you, and she or he does not wishes really bad for you, right? They do not want to harm you. Your children love you. At least there, this much of certainty is there. So even your behavior stays constant, your behavior stays the same, and you are able to understand, you are able to find that security in the house, in your family, with your friend circle. You know that this friend, no matter how many times I make a mistake or do something, this friend will always forgive me, and this friend will always support me. When you know that, when there is this kind of certainty for some time, for few years, for few months, and this kind of a certainty is there, it brings a relief, it changes the approach in your life. So this is what certainty does. Now think of it as an eternity. Now whatever laws that God has created, the law of karma, the law of wisdom, the law of this, the law of that, whatever universal laws are there, you know that these laws are eternal too. Whatever God has created is eternal too, because eternity can only create eternity. He has the power to create all that is perishable, but the one who is conscious, who we are as a being, are eternity too. And likewise, we can create things that can be destroyed in some time. But see how human beings created plastic. With such a long certainty, it's so hard to destroy, right? It's destroying the planet. But see how long, such a long thing, such a long life thing we have created as human beings. And this was one bad example, but there are a lot of good examples too. A human being has the capability to create the body of another human being to give birth to a child. So this is how we are able to understand. We need to understand and bring down eternity and connect with it with our daily life. That no matter what we do, however, whichever way we look, if we are moving towards divinity, then the principles of law of karma, or the principles of karma, or the principles of love and bliss, the qualities that love and bliss are, they are unchanging. There is a certainty in it. If I am being judged by the law of karma, then so is everybody else. That gives us a sort of relief. That changes the approach that we take in our life, and it makes our life easier to walk. It makes our journey, spiritual journey, easier if we are able to break down this one characteristic of divine, this one characteristic of God. If we are able to break it down and start seeing it in everything around us, however long may be, but there are things that are certain, and there are things that are for forever. Law of gravity is for forever. Till the time this planet exists, or universe exists, law of gravity on planet Earth is going to be there. So see how much comfort that brings in your life when you know something is so certain that if you walk your spiritual journey, you are going to find the divine, you are going to merge with him, you are going to have a union with him. So that kind of certainty and that kind of relief it brings, and it gives us a lot of confidence in ourselves. Our confidence level changes when we know this job is going to last all the way till the end of my life, working life. So your approach changes. The confidence in you is different. If somebody comes to know that their parents will, die tomorrow, or anybody who provides for the child is going to die tomorrow, then imagine that the state, the loss of confidence that happens to that person, to that child. But if they know, my parents are going to live for next 50 years, then see how their behavior or things changes, how their self-confidence to live life changes. So eternity is a very big thing. All the other characteristics that God has to be eternal. Eternity has to be added and merged into all the other characteristics. We say God is pure. That means he's eternally pure. He's pure for eternity, in other words. When we say he's forever enlightened, he's forever enlightened. He's always in an enlightened mode. God is. So that means he's eternally enlightened. When we say he is, eternal, he's free. He has the ultimate freedom. That means he's eternally free. That means he never comes into bondage in the first place. Due to any reason, God never comes into bondage. So all these other characteristics, that God is love, God is bliss, God is pure, God is enlightened, God is, God is ultimate freedom, God is forever free. All these characteristics have the keyword eternal in front of them. All his qualities are eternal. None of his quality ever has a beginning and an ending. None of his qualities are like that. So understanding this aspect of divine helps us connect to him in a very different way, with a much more relaxed and relieved kind of approach we can take and start moving towards divinity. All of you, those who have not started their spiritual journey, and you are about 45, 50, 55 years of age, I would really say that you need to start walking your path. You need to start walking towards divinity. And the best way to do it is understanding each and every and different kinds of characteristics or qualities of divine. Until you understand somebody's qualities, you will not stay connected to them. You cannot connect to them. No matter how many people understand, how many people we explain how a jet plane is launched, or a rocket is launched into space, how well we explain you the process. If you are never going to launch a rocket, you have no desire to launch a rocket, you are not going to find any connection with it. So that wisdom is useless. Any wisdom to you is useful only and only when you are able to find a connection with it. When you find a connection with it, you have a desire like that. Then only you are going to make efforts like that. Then your efforts will be in that direction where you will start moving towards divinity. So start making some efforts and start moving towards divinity. Namaste. Jai Shiva.